Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If you truly dig music, you're going to want to subscribe to this channel below so you don't miss out on our daily content. Also, hit us up on Patreon, that helps us a lot. Now today we present another episode of our show VOX, where of course we celebrate a great vocalist from the rock era. Somebody who has ignited our hearts, enlightened our very souls, and blown our minds with their incredible instrument through the power and the passion of their interpretation. In this edition of VOX, we celebrate the gift of Don Henley. Don is, of course, the co-founder of the Hall of Fame mega band Eagles, one of America's greatest bands, and one of the main reasons why that band is preeminent is due to the exceptional talent of Don Henley. Now, we're going to be releasing features specifically about Eagles down the road, but on this installment of VOX, I wanted to focus on Don's brilliance in his solo career. Don Henley, a self-professed redneck, was born in Gilmore, Texas and grew up in Linden, a tiny town in northeast Texas. He moved to LA in 1970 as a co-founder of the band Shiloh, which disbanded over creative differences shortly after their arrival in the City of Angels. Now in 71, Don met Glenn Frey, and after a stint as Linda Ronstadt's backing band, the two formed Eagles in the early 70s. Don was known as an incredible drummer, but his vocal prowess soon came to the forefront as the co-lead vocalist of the Eagles, and his voice has become one of the most recognizable of the rock and roll era. Don's vocals have this unique and beautiful blend of warmth and sensitivity that really exudes a distinct expression in the way that he interprets a song. It doesn't matter whether he wrote the song or if he's singing somebody else's material, it always shines through. There is that unmistakable Texas gravel in his voice. That gives Don's style a versatility that he can interpret a hard-edge rocker, soft ballad, a country and western flavor tune, it doesn't matter. That's why his renowned voice has been the hallmark of so many classic songs. Now, when the Eagles broke up the first time in 1980, Don began working on solo music and teaming with other artists. The start of Henley's success as a solo artist came in late 81 with Leather and Lace, an exceptional duet with Stevie Nicks. Stevie wrote Leather and Lace intending it to be placed on a duet album with the same name for Waylon Jennings and his wife Jessie Coulter. But the song wasn't included on their record, so Stevie and Don got together to record their celebrated version of Leather and Lace. It went to number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was a top 10 adult contemporary hit as well. After the success of Leather and Lace, it was inevitable that Don Henley would build off the fame he achieved with the Eagles and transition to superstardom as a soloist. He did just that with some of the most memorable songs and albums of the rock and roll era. Having said that, here is my fiver, the 5 best recorded solo performances by the great Don Henley. I gotta offer an honorable mention first, Dirty Laundry. It's a phenomenal song. Didn't quite make my top 5, but here they are. Number 5, New York Minute, from his masterpiece, End of the Innocence. Now, we've talked about Don Henley as a singer. His voice is anointed. Well, as a songwriter, as a lyricist, the man is a modern-day prophet. Lyrically, this song is like a modern-day writing out of the book of Revelations, describing the world that we live in right now and the world we lived in 1989 when it first came out. This song is a witness and a warning, a sign of the times, especially in the verse lyrics. Lying here in the darkness, I hear the sirens wail. Somebody's going to emergency, somebody's going to jail. If you find somebody to love in this world, you better hang on tooth and nail. The wolf is always at the door. And then, of course, the beautiful chorus. Don Henley warns us again with the line, "And in these days when darkness falls early and people rush home to the ones they love, you better take a fool's advice and take care of your own. One day they're here, next day they're gone." So poignant. The ending is where Henley gives us the bottom line when he says, "What the head makes cloudy, the heart makes very clear. The days were so much brighter in the time when she was here, but I know there's somebody somewhere make these dark clouds disappear. Until that day, I have to believe, I believe, I believe."
Somewhere, make these dark clouds disappear. Until that day,
There's so much darkness in this incredible song, but so much hope. Don Henley has a way with defining our times that not many singer-songwriters can portray. Number 4. The fourth single off Don's second solo album, Building the Perfect Beast. Sunset Grill, a song that peaked at number 7 on the Billboard Top Rock Tracks and number 22 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early '85. The original Sunset Grill was a legendary greasy hamburger joint on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. The Sunset Grill was laid out as an open-air cafe with bar stools where passerbys could easily stop off the famous street, grab a stool, and order a burger and a beer. Since the joint was smack dab in the middle of the Sunset Strip, the Sunset Grill would get a mixed bag of patrons, along with some unsavory characters. Don Henley tapped into the history of the Sunset Grill, imagined all the stories that could be told if those walls could talk, as he said, and he wrote a song about it. Sunset Grill was a metaphor to aspects of the Hollywood life that he liked and things that he didn't like. He summed it all up with the last 2 lines. What would we do without all these jerks anyway? Besides, all our friends are here. The original Sunset Grill was around from 1957 to 1997. After 40 years, Joe, the original owner, and his family sold the place. In the song, Don refers to Joe in the line, "There's an old man there from the old world. To him, it's all the same," calls all his customers by name. The new owners tore down the original grill and built a new restaurant with a sterile cafeteria vibe. Now, like most legendary haunts, when the original Sunset Grill was torn down, the new version lacked the charm and the character of the original. But Don's tune reflects on the old spirit. When the Sunset Grill was referred to as Joe's place and the Hollywood locals went down there to watch the working girls go by, watch the basket people walk around and mumble, or gaze out at the auburn sky. Such poetry.
Let's go down to the Sunset Grill. Watch the working girl.
I remember listening to this song when I first left home right after high school. It was like my first night in a big city, completely unfamiliar to me. I was staying in kind of a seedy part of the city, and I had just bought Don's greatest hit CD called Actual Miles. I looked out my window and I was watching people walking by at like 1 or 2 in the morning while this song rung out in my headphones, and it all came to life before me. It was so scary and wondrous at the same time. I'll never forget it. Patti Smythe from the band Scandal sang harmony on Sunset Grill, and famed composer Randy Newman arranged the dominant synthesizer that permeates throughout the song. This is another song that eerily portrays the times that we live in, even though it was written decades ago. Number 3, the lead single from Building the Perfect Beast, The Boys of Summer. Man, it was one of 4 number 1 rock tracks for Henley in his career and a number 5 pop hit. It also went to number 12 in the UK. Boys of Summer is a song about longing for an ex-lover. The tune is rich and poignant and descriptive lyrics and a haunting musical score that really puts you in a reflective and somber mood, but it doesn't put you in a sad place. That's because Henley's brilliant interpretation is both fervent and cathartic. Now, the words are from Don, and the music was written and produced by Mike Campbell of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Campbell originally offered the song to Tom Petty, but he turned it down because he balked at the heavy synthesizer, so it went to Henley. Mike sent Don the instrumental track, and Don called him the very next day to tell Campbell that he liked the music and he'd already written some lyrics for the song. Don changed the key from the original demo of the instrumental track to better suit his voice. Now, Don's lyrics here are truly poetry of the soul. As is the case with much of his work, as I've mentioned, his words are symbolic and multidimensional, incorporating personal and societal ideas. The title Boys of Summer was inspired by the Roger Kahn baseball book about the Dodgers. On the surface, the song would be interpreted as a relationship song, which it is, but it's also about getting older. It's about a loss of innocence. It's also about aging and questioning the past. Don once said of the song, and I quote, "Boys of Summer was one of those great rare moments where I got so inspired by the track that Mike Campbell had given me that it just sort of wrote itself. It just came screaming out of me." End of quote. Don later talked about the song as a sort of reflection on the boomer generation. He said, and I quote, "I'm not convinced that we really accomplished that much. Kennedy was president and everybody thought it was Camelot, but Look at what we did. We raised all that hell in the 60s, and then what did we come up with in the 70s and 80s? Nixon and Reagan. The country reverted right back into the hands that it was in before. I don't think we changed a damn thing, frankly. That's what the last verse of The Boys of Summer was all about. I think our intentions were good, but the way we went about it was ridiculous. We thought we could change things by protesting and making firebombs and growing our hair long and wearing funny clothes. But we didn't follow through. After all our marching and shouting and screaming didn't work, we withdrew and became yuppies and got into the me decade. End of quote. This is referenced in that last iconic verse where he talks about seeing a deadhead sticker on a Cadillac. This really happened to Don. He was driving down the San Diego freeway and he got passed up by a $21,000 Cadillac Seville, which Don said was like the status symbol of the right-wing upper middle class. And he said there was a deadhead sticker on the bumper. Of course, he uses this in the tune with a sense of irony.
Out on the road today, I saw a deadhead sticker on a Cadillac. A little voice inside my head said, don't look.
The youthful idealism had to grow up and get a job, and most of us, without even knowing it, grow up to become the man. Henley once also said, heck, everyone grows up, but that doesn't mean that there can't be some reflection about where you came from. Later, the band The Ataris would cover the song and change the lyric from Deadhead Sticker on a Cadillac to Black Flag. Their version would hit number 2 on the modern rock chart. The music video for Boys of Summer was highly acclaimed. It won awards for Video of the Year, Best Director, Best Art Direction, and Best Cinematography at the 1985 MTV Video Awards. Henley won the Grammy for Rock Male Vocalist for Boys of Summer in '86. Number 2, from 1989, the title track to Don's third solo album, The End of the Innocence. Co-written by Don and Bruce Hornsby. Love him. Bruce, of course, plays those really beautiful piano parts on the song. It's no secret that Don Henley was against the political agenda of President Ronald Reagan, and he was concerned about the rise of the military and decline of family farms during Reagan's run in the 80s. There are elements of those concerns in the lyrics of this song. You know, the tired old man that they elected king, but The End of the Innocence is not really political. It's really a beautiful lament that describes the end of an era, of a simpler, purer life that went beyond politics. You know, before technology began to eliminate the natural pleasures of things like watching clouds roll by, you know, the waving of tall grass in the breeze, birds flying above. There's a new generation of people that may never know how uplifting those simple pleasures can be. In this computerized, antisocial world that we live in, you can genuinely feel Don's emotion in The End of the Innocence. And particularly, I connected with the lyric, but somewhere back there in the dust, that same small town in each of us. I need to remember this. I keep Don's sentiment in my heart every single day in everything that I do because I came from a small town.
Somewhere back there in the dust, that same small town in each of us.
The song has become even more meaningful to me since my dad passed away recently. I remember my dad bought this album one summer day and we drove around town listening to it. This was around the time that I had just entered into my teen years and we were growing apart a little bit every day. At that time, we clashed about pretty much everything, except for music. That was our neutral ground. As we listened to that song and the album that summer day in 1989, I can remember feeling completely safe. I felt like this beautiful peace and contentment. I can't fully explain it. I was happy, I was reflective. Looking back on it now, it's interesting that almost 30 years later to the day my dad passed away, that moment happened at the end of the 80s, and for me, it really was the end of the Innocence.
This is the end of the Innocence.
Anyway, Don Henley won another Grammy in 1990 for Rock Male Vocalist for his outstanding performance on The End of the Innocence. And number 1, the deeply moving ballad from The End of the Innocence, The Heart of the Matter. Don Henley collaborated with his friend J.D. Souther on the lyrics to this song. J.D. had worked with Don and Glenn Frey, of course, on many compositions for the Eagles, including New Kid in Town, Best of My Love, Heartache Tonight, and several more. Don and J.D. were in a similar emotional place in their lives when they wrote The Heart of the Matter. They were both recovering from difficult breakups with their significant other. That seemed to be the perfect storm that helped to put this incredible song together. Now, I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers with this next statement, but in my heart, this is my favorite Don Henley performance, be it with the Eagles or solo. Hell, it's one of my 10 favorite songs of all time. If someone asked me to play one song that demonstrates why Don Henley is one of the greatest vocalists of the rock era, I would play The Heart of the Matter. Again, Don's warmth and sensitivity in his vocal performance is flawless. It's really not a song. It's a principle of life. It's modern day scripture. It really is. I've never been able to listen to this song without shedding real tears. Now, legend has it that Don played the finished version of the song for a group of women that worked at his label, Geffen. And after listening to the song, they were all weeping. No surprise. It's the sincerity of the song that really gets to you. And that is where Don shines so brightly.
Forgiveness, even if you don't love me anymore.
I can't tell you how many times in my life that I felt let down by someone or felt completely discouraged, totally spent emotionally, totally hopeless, worthless, or bitter. And I reach out for this song and it's always there with its perfect bridge to remind me there are people in your life who've come and gone that let you down, they hurt your pride. You better put it all behind you because life goes on. You keep carrying that anger, it'll eat you up inside. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak and my thoughts seem to scatter.
You keep carrying that anger, it'll eat you up inside, baby. I've been trying to get down.
Now, the line in the song, "the flesh will get weak and the ashes will scatter," is a spin on a biblical reference from Matthew 26:41. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Now, J.D. Souther has stated that it was Don's idea to include words in the heart of the matter that were profound and that would provide some healing in times of extreme heartbreak, in which he did so perfectly. I mean, when it comes right down to it, the moral of this song is forgiveness. It is forgiveness that will help you move on with your life, not dwelling in anger or bitterness or wallowing in self-pity. And it's something this world needs a lot more of.
Forgiveness, even if you don't love me anymore.
The majestic voice of Don Henley. We relish it. We celebrate its elegance, its conviction, most of all, its truth. Thank you, Don, not only for the music, but most of all for conveying life's most important miracle, the miracle of forgiveness. Now, to hear all these amazing songs, click on the link to our curated playlist in the description. If you like this content, subscribe to this channel. Help us keep the music alive by clicking on the Patreon link. And please leave us a comment on Don Henley and these incredible songs. What is your Don Henley fiver? Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.